Hey guys, DB Right here, back with a channel update, because I do like to keep you guys informed. With the Shutsubotsu homemade anime project, we've hit a little bump in the road. Not a big bump, it's just a matter of me working out how to draw up the scenes for the next part of the story. Like, I've got it all written down and everything, but I've got, I guess you could say I've got drawer's block. Not writer's block, drawer's block. I'm trying to work out how to draw the next sequences of images and get it the way I want to, and it's, yeah, so far I've got squat. But never to fear, I have started up another comic, another anime manga style like comic, you know, just to keep my art muscles going, keep my creativity flowing, as it were, you know, until I eventually, well, my mind subconsciously works out how it wants to proceed with the next images and visuals for Shutsubotsu. So this won't be permanent. I'm hoping that I'll figure out how I want the next images and scenes from Shutsubotsu to actually go. And so in the meantime, I do have another manga project to start, and that is Yantle. Now, with Yantle, I'll admit there were a few other attempts to use the character, or at least the character name, in other projects, such as the Mother Sorry Yantle anime I started working on a few years back, which only got as far as the first scene and the opening I did, which you can check that out. That's on the YouTube channel. In fact, oh, there it is on the card there. And but yeah, for a while now, actually for a good while, I've actually wanted to do a romance fantasy story, and I did have plans to do one a few years back, but that was it was a different time when I had a bit more of a brighter outlook on love and things like that. And well, there was an incident that happened, and then I ended up giving up on the project altogether. And no, I did something else in its place, which turned out to be Almighty High, the Life Addiction. Which I'll admit, that was a very dark comic, all about a guy who loses everything and goes on a complete rampage, and becomes the worst supervillain I ever created in my comics. If you're curious, you can always download the comic. The link is in the description. Unfortunately, I can't put the link in the cards. But yeah, so with Yantle, I'm trying to, basically, I want to tell the story with it'll be sort of narrative in some areas, with some beautiful, amazing imagery, and I'm also, but yeah, it'll have its fantasy elements as well, and the as for terms of the story, it's basically the story about a young man who is struggling with emotions, and he's experienced certain feelings for the first time, and struggling with his feelings on those, and pretty much his feelings on love in general, which don't want to give away anything. You'll have to read to find out. And so while I subconsciously or try to figure out a way through my Shutsubotsu problem at the moment, I can, definitely start working on this. And why not? We can take a bit of a look at some of the images I've done already. Why not? So, as you can see here, that's the front cover. I really like what I've done there, like the images and how the backdrop sort of rainbowish, and you got you can tell it's a romance comic by how I've drawn the characters. And with Yantul, because he's struggling with feelings and emotions, having not really experienced them and not really understanding them, he's got a sort of confused look, while the girl, the image, has her arms around him. And through the imagery, through the images we got there, we got basically Yantul telling his story from his perspective. And I think that'll be a pretty interesting project, and I'm hoping that it'll be pretty deep as well. Like I am hoping that when people read this, they're reading it with a box of tissues. Like I said, that like Shutsubotsu, the anime and all that, that is a personal goal that will be accomplished, and probably could be my greatest project ever, something I can look back and be proud of. But I also reckon that Yantul can be a really, truly amazing comic with a deeper meaning, something that I really could look back and be proud of, and something I'd read myself over and over again, and hopefully surprise myself each and every time I read it. If you ever created something, like a piece of art, something you've done. Okay, you've hanged it up, but every time you've looked at that piece of art or whatever it is, but you always find something different in it, and you created it yourself, but you somehow see things differently every time you look at it, even different from the perspective and how you actually felt about it when you were initially doing it. And I reckon this Yantul comic will actually be the project I do that actually has that. And it's actually very rare when sometimes when I stumble upon some of the older comics I've done, like the stuff that I just drew on a piece of paper and stapled it together, some of the things I've come up with, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember writing this. So that's how I told this part. You know what I mean? And I'm hoping Yantul will be one of those projects, and I hope it'll be something everyone will enjoy reading. And doing a romance comic, or that genre, it's something I haven't really done before, like, but wanting to, because usually it's action, horror, or superhero, which, by the way, I've pretty much stopped the whole superhero thing. I've kind of got sick and tired of drawing up and doing up superhero stuff. You know, we get enough of that from Marvel and DC movies, who pretty much release superhero movie after superhero movie and superhero movie. You know, it's made the entire genre very, ugh, no more. So I've moved on to doing more manga stuff and hopefully doing things that have a bit more of a meaning to it, or at least at the very least a meaning to me, or but hopefully I can do things that, you know, make and hopefully have other people think and people, you know, interpreting it differently than how I drew it. And you know, those are the projects that, you know, those are the kind of projects and creative things I think for creators and whatnot that really stick and last till the end of time. You know, when people have different people having different interpretations on a story and whatnot, and I'm hoping Yontul will actually bring that at least to some sort of aspect, and at least that's the idea here, and it's a little something fun I can work on while I solve my homemade anime project problem, this wall I've hit. I'll get there eventually. I'll work out how to put this part in the story to paper and to storyboard and eventually draw up the visuals. For me, when drawing a comic, it's always the action sequences and things I find really hard to do. It always takes me the longest because I'm always sitting there, I was like, okay, how is that gonna work? Like, when writing it down's easy enough, but it's like, okay, how are we gonna set this up? What kind of angle do we want the characters on? That sort of thing, and then again, sometimes it's like, wow. So, while I deal with that roadblock, is a little something else I can do that can keep this project going. Keep creativity on this channel going, for one thing, and, you know, so people who actually go to Tapas and read the webcomics aren't disappointed, and it'll be a new comic I'll probably put on the online store for people to download and enjoy, and not to mention new t-shirts. A Yontul t-shirt. I gotta admit, if I were to do a t-shirt at this point, I'd make a t-shirt out of that front cover, because that front cover is just awesome. You know, I would buy that shirt and wear it. I'd wear it everywhere. Be a walking billboard. So yeah, that's basically the news for today. And yeah, I have a feeling that a lot of people are actually going to enjoy this Yontul comic. Will there be an animated version? Too soon to tell. This is just a comic at this point. Just something for me to work on while I solve this other problem, and, you know, just something different. Just something different I can do and really get this, you know, start expanding my creativity wavelength. You know, the last time I was going to do a project like this, like I said, you know, I chickened out because of a incident where